we have Venus entering Libra at 5:19 p.m. Eastern Time. Venus represents love, harmony, pleasure. It can also represent, just as the archetype, relationships. So that can be a nice indicator, but not the only one when you look at your chart of getting insights about the types of relationships that work for you, or indicators, significations of the type of partner that maybe you're drawn to. For Libra, this is balance, decisions, judgment, passing judgment, especially in a fair way. It's very fair-minded. It's also interested in aesthetics, beauty, design, and then, of course, those interpersonal dynamics. So you'll notice, hey, it sounds like there's a lot of things in common. And that's because Venus rules Libra. So Venus going into Libra is going to be doing a jig all month long because it loves to be in Libra, also known as its domicile. Keep in mind that Venus also rules Taurus. So it's one of those planets that rules two signs. So it's content, happy, at ease to be in both. The last time that Venus was in Libra was November 8th through December 4th of 2023. So unlike Mercury, Venus takes a little bit longer, even though it's only the next planet out. It takes a little bit longer to move through signs. It takes around 4 weeks to move through a sign, and it doesn't retrograde every year, but when it does, that retrograde lasts a lot longer. So that really slows it down. So it takes more time to get around the zodiac. So if you want to look back and kind of give yourself a bit of a blueprint for what you could expect, again, there's other astrology that's happening at the same time, but to give some indicators, some perspective on what Venus in Libra could suggest for you, you could look back at that November 8th through December 4th of 2023 window. So this time around, Venus again is entering on the 13th of October, and it will be there until November 6th. But not without a delusional start, because just like Mercury, when Venus enters Libra, it gets hit with an opposition. So for Mercury, it entered Scorpio and got hit with a square. With Venus, it's entering Libra and getting hit with an opposition. And an opposition means that it's 180 degrees away. It means it's in the sister sign. So a few hours, literally just a few hours after this ingress, same day, it is in the opposition with Neptune at 0 degrees of Aries at 9:16 p.m., so only 4 hours later. So Venus enters Libra, 4 hours later, it's barely in there, and it gets hit with this opposition. So essentially, this first day or so of Venus being in Libra is going to be completely distorted. The reason I use that word is because Neptune is about illusion, delusion, deception. So when we have Venus, a sign of love, ease, joy, in Libra, like, oh, let's all get along. So we have this energy going on that wants to be happy, that wants to be in line, that wants to bring support to that Libran area of our chart. We get hit right away with like, but is this happening? Is that happening? Is this real? Like self-doubt, confusion, disorientation. So we're not having like the best start, but then it's going to dissipate as Venus passes. So because an opposition is a challenge, it's even stronger and more intense than the Mercury square, because the square is just like, oh, this is a little bit uncomfortable. But we're going to figure something out from this. An opposition is, as I mentioned, a challenge. Head to head. There's something energetically in opposition to each other. They are not getting along. Some sort of big point of conflict. And it doesn't mean that there's a literal conflict that happens, because we're not talking about Mars here. We're talking about Venus and we're talking about Neptune. But this point of contention, this kind of big blow up, is most likely to be in a space that's dealing with your comfort, dealing with your perception, because that's what Neptune is picking up on. So I'm framing it as it's like this perfect illusion. So maybe something is too good to be true. So maybe it's not obvious to us that something is wrong or inaccurate. We're like, oh my gosh, this seems great. And then like a day or two later, you're like, oh, never mind. And it's because you put the rose colored glasses on. So we could have over idealizing on this day. And maybe we're swept up in some idyllic scenario. And we're like, oh, this is awesome. This is so great. I'm like so excited about this. And then we experience the drop out and coming back to reality a couple days later. So we can check our charts now. We are looking at all of the degrees for Libra. So which houses do we have contained in Libra? And then what do we have at 0 degrees Libra, 0 degrees Aries? This is only quote unquote an issue if your Libra moon happens to be at 0 degrees. Otherwise, or within the first 5 degrees. Otherwise, I would not be on edge. I would not be worried about this transit at all. When you're watching Venus moving through Libra, the day, which you can identify, the day that Venus conjoins your moon, it would be one that's supportive. It's encouraging you to get in touch with your emotions. Maybe that means a release. Maybe it just means connecting with people, creative outlet for helping to process them. But it's not, the expectation is not, oh, some big major upset. So it should be supporting Yvonne 5 degrees. So you're right at the edge of the orb. So it'll be like barely interacting with it. So you may feel a little bit of something. So I would suspect for you, Yvonne, that again, we're like, oh my gosh, this thing looks really great. Oh, this is awesome. Like we're getting our hopes up. We're excited about something. It could just mean that you have a particular emotional investment in it. But as it clears, again, we're at 0 degrees. It's going to move. It's going to get towards your 5. When you get to 5, you're going to be supported. So it'll be a smooth transition, I think, out of that energy. Looking at your values, looking at your sense of self-worth. How are you taking care of yourself? How are you showing through how you exist in the world that you care for yourself? It's not proving to others, but it's like, hey, let's go inward a little bit. Let's make sure that we are doing that self-care. It's also about your money. So you could have money coming to you. The second house is how you make money. It's your assets. It's the things that you own. So you could have support, and not as lucrative, I would say, as if you had Jupiter moving through, but having Venus move through there is support. So maybe you're like trying some new things with how you are earning money, or you are, again, it's not about action. So we don't need to like decide to shift anything, but you could just have flow. Like you're like, oh, I just like found this money on the ground, or like the things that you are doing to make money are supported in some way. So if you have your Venus that's moving over and it hits Lilith, basically it conjoins Lilith, then it's going to be calling into question your, and what house did we say that you were in? Did we say? We didn't say. So I don't know what house we're talking about, Yvonne, which is important context. But wherever this is, whatever house we are in, it's nudging you towards being independent in some way. So when that aspect happens, that's the energy that's being picked up. But the independence, the types of relationships that you're working on, fully contingent upon which house we're looking at. 5th house. So being more independent in the creativity, the expression, relationships that you have with children, relationships you have in dating. So maybe it's supporting, I don't know if you are dating, but if somebody that was, it could be like, yeah, I'm better off on my own. Like you could have like that kind of just feeling. It doesn't mean it lasts the entire month, but just for that period of time that it's like, yeah, like I'm awesome. Like I can do my own thing. And it kind of sparks a little bit of that. Sarah, my Libra is 7th house. Another stellium. Oh my gosh. Okay, so wait, did you say that you had the 12th house and 6th house stellium? Because if you do, then that again is very notable because they're across from each other. So that means that you have like a ridiculous amount of oppositions happening. You're welcome. Yeah, Sarah, that's super interesting in a chart. 6th house. It's similar, a little similar to what I was talking about earlier with the 6th house. So when you have Venus moving through the 6th house, it's not just that we're talking about how we could create more balance. We just have balance coming through. We have the support coming through so that we can take better physical care of ourselves, pets that we have. Maybe you're more open to getting one if you don't have one. Also, with the physical health, it could be, how can I beautify, it's not physical appearance, but how can I beautify my physical health? How can I create an environment where I can tend to my physical health in ways that are creative, that are more tender? How can I connect with other people that I'm working with? Service, maybe it's a great time to do some volunteer. What are ways that you have relationships at work, at your current job? How can you recalibrate those so that they are more balanced? And maybe you take action, maybe you don't, but it's highlighting it as this month progresses. So by the time it gets out of there, then you start taking action and you make some changes. But with Venus there, it's just highlighting, like either things are going to go really well, or you're going to be like, that's interesting. I didn't notice that before. That's not really as nice and balanced and aligned as I'd like it. And then you can later take action. So interesting. I started Pilates last month and I'm committed. There you go. So it would be supporting that. Definitely supporting if you have some sort of a physical health practice, but also maybe it's supporting meeting people in your classes.